was a bartender. Like,
yeah,
there's
with
a
a little bit
difference.
of salsa water.
There's
I was
a
making tequila sodas, a
differentiation.
little bit of
I was a
wine.
straight up
Dr.
bartender, okay?
No, they making like dragon fruit margarita pina
That's what
colada
I'm
joints.
telling
It's not
you.
the same thing.
Welcome to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm Alicia Jay, and I'm here with Erica Ayala. Always great to see you. And Ashley Nicole Moss. And you guys, we are celebrating something really big, and that is we have 100K subscribers on YouTube. Like, what? So huge, so huge. I remember literally when I was hired for this position, right? Because they hired me to come in and start all the social channels for We Need to Talk, and everything was at 0, right? And I knew that we would have this amazing community, and we've done so many things to get there. But I just know for me, looking at 100K, I'm so thankful for every single subscriber, but also it really just personally is like how far this has come on something that I started at 0. So I am proud of myself, but I'm also just very thankful that I am here with you, both of you guys here to celebrate this. We have Emma, our podcast producer on, and just everybody that has contributed to the success of what we've done here at We Need to Talk. It's just like, it's mind blowing to me because I literally just remember the first day and I'm like, okay, is anyone going to join me? It's just me. So I'm just thankful, beyond thankful that we're here celebrating this today.
And I love that for you. That's amazing. And look, we wouldn't have, when I say we, I really mean Alicia, because Erica and I just got here. But
no, not true.
But
it
would not have been possible without every single person who has tuned in and engaged with the content in all ways, shapes, and forms. And because of that, we'll be doing a special live show in the next couple of weeks to celebrate, which includes answering fan questions. We know you guys love when we dive into our mailbag. So you can either submit those questions to our social channels or in the comment box, and make sure, most importantly, you are subscribed to tune in, because that is how you'll get the notification. And also follow us on all of our social platforms, because that is how you will stay up to date with a lot of the other things that we post and any other announcements. And as usual, if you are someone who likes to listen to their pods, that's okay, because you scan this QR code here and we will pop up wherever you get your pods. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple. And once again, thank you everyone for 100,000 subscribers.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Alicia Dallas. I mean, y'all did that. I'm just...
No, not y'all. Alicia did it. I just got here.
No.
I probably contributed maybe like 10K.
No, we all contributed. And Erica,
it's like that SpongeBob meme where it's like Patrick goes, I have $5. That's me.
No, but I do want to say thank you to Erica, because I know we call you a contributor, but you the pod, you on the pod, you know what I'm saying? You here. And we always are just so thankful to have you in this space, but also talking, having these conversations that we have. And Ashley, I know you joking, you better be joking, but it takes everybody to be here. It takes everyone to be here, including all of us on this pod.
I'm semi-joking, but I'll take it, sure.
But something else that we do on this pod is we have conversations, we have our opinions on things, and we need to do a vibe check on ourselves, okay? Because, we had a little something to say about the Aces. They didn't start off the season in a great way. And I just, we got to kind of look back to see what we said about the Aces when all of that was going down. It's kind of hard to watch in a lot of ways, because you just think about this team that has had so much success, and you saw like the chemistry and just everything that they've done as a team. But just like with any team, you have these teams who have done the things to catch up to you. They just don't have what they've had in years past. It shows. And I'm not saying you're pressing that button yet, but you close to it.
The panic button?
Yeah, I'm not saying, I couldn't remember what the name was, but the panic button.
Don't jinx it, don't jinx it.
I didn't know if it was the panic button, abort mission button. There's a lot of buttons.
Yeah, it's the panic one. It's the panic one. I mean, I'm real close to it, right? Like I'm almost pressing it, but they just haven't been all the way healthy. So it's a lot going on that team. They are a different team than they were in years past.
What makes the Aces so dynamic, or what made them so dynamic in those back-to-back years, is that they were able to dominate in the post. And we have to say, like, if you want to talk about hitting the panic button, I think you can do that insular, right? Just talking about the Aces, but you also have to look at how the league has changed since they went back to back. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's people out here, there's teams out here like the New York Liberty that we talked about, like Minnesota, the two teams in the finals last year, that they are playing and have almost perfected, at least as close to perfect as we've seen positionless basketball be played in the WNBA. And so when you have a player like Kia Stokes, she's going to have to be able to give more offensively if she's going to be in that starting role, because she's guarding people who are going to have her running all across the court.
Whenever you have the changing of the guard, whenever you have new teams and new blood coming in each and every draft class, the landscape of the WNBA changes, right? You can only be top dog for so long. And that's what makes the league exciting, right? And I think that, you know, comparing it to the NBA is the best thing I can use as an example. That league has had 7 different champions in 7 different seasons. And I think we're seeing that kind of trajectory in the WNBA, where it's going to be hard for one team to remain at the top for an extended period of time. There's just so many teams now that have kind of figured out what to do well and have capitalized off of that. And I think the talent is also so much more dispersed. Maybe it has been in previous years that the Aces were maybe the last of their kind when it comes to the way that the WNBA looked in that dynasty era. And I think now we're seeing less dynasties, but we're seeing more equality across the league, which is making it anybody's league at this stage.
Well, now that I listened to this, we weren't wrong. You know,
I stand by what I said.
Yeah, I stand by what I said too. Because at the time, you know, the Aces.
What did Nene Leakes say on Real Housewives of Atlanta? I said what I said.
Okay, insert the sound. But literally, they did not have what they needed at the time, and they have had a miraculous turnaround to be at number 2 in the standings right now. But to that point, they didn't have NaLyssa Smith. NaLyssa Smith, let's just open up this conversation about what the turnaround has been for the Aces. When they added her in July, they added a player that, number 1, is very talented. Let's be clear. But also, number 2, has helped A'ja Wilson in so many ways. She needed help in the worst way. She was carrying that team, okay? Let's be clear. So when they added her, not only is she bringing great defense, she's opening up opportunities for offense in a lot of ways. And then in addition, it really made a lot of the other players on the team better. You look at guards like Chelsea Gray, who are producing at a higher level than they were in the past. You also had movement in the actual starting lineup. And you moved some players that probably shouldn't have been starting at the time to the bench. And it just created a lot of different things that I think have put the Aces in the position that they are today. Let's start with you, Erica. What are your thoughts on this massive turnaround? I mean, NaLyssa Smith obviously is huge, but what other reasons are there for them being at number 2 now?
Well, I want to stick with NaLyssa Smith. And even in that clip, I talked about, and I have been critical of Kia Stokes because of the positionless basketball that we see permeating through the WNBA. And when you have someone like Stokes who will give you 1.2 points per game versus a NaLyssa Smith who's giving 7.4 points per game, when you talk about getting help for A'ja Wilson, you have to be able to keep defenses honest. And a part of that is having other players in that front court be able to contribute offensively, or at least have, you know, a stat line that's like, all right, well, we can't, you know, sag on them necessarily. We have to pay more attention. And I think NaLyssa also, by being just able to move throughout the offensive sets a little bit differently, perhaps, and again, be a little bit more of a threat. Someone defenses have to focus on is huge. I think another thing is they got embarrassed on national television by the Minnesota Lynx. And it was after that loss that we heard the leader, Asia Wilson, be very frank with her team. She said publicly in the media, I told my team, if y'all are gonna if we're gonna play like this, don't even bother showing up to practice. Like, what are what are we doing? Like, and to the credit of the team, they took that challenge. They heard what their leader was saying, their leader in basically any way you can think of a leader, and they stepped up to the plate. And I know, I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit about Jewel Lloyd, but Jewel Lloyd had a interesting exit, I guess we could say, from Seattle. But part of that was that her productivity was down. And that was a conversation that we were seeing early on for the Aces. And it seems like they might have unlocked a way to get the best performance from Jewel Lloyd in a way that maybe just Seattle and Lloyd in Seattle couldn't quite figure out last season.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I was playing in high school and stuff like that, and even my dad still says this to me all the time when we're watching sports, and this is just in life. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And we put so much emphasis, I think, at times just because we expect so much from the Aces. There's a certain there's a certain quality we expect when they play basketball because of what they have accomplished, and the players that wear that jersey, that when they don't look like the team we are familiar with, it takes you back and you hit the panic button, because a couple losses here and there is not something to stress about or worry about, but it's the magnitude in which they were losing and how uncharacteristic they looked just in terms of the make of their team that was alarming. It's not that they were losing basketball games. I don't think anybody expected them to go undefeated. I don't think anybody expected them to even be a number 1 seed, but you expected them to be competitive and to win. And they weren't doing that. So it was the shock value of just them being so uncharacteristic of who they are as a team that made you concerned. Now, I say that to say, going back to my first point, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. After the All-Star break and leading up to that, it was a switch that was hit in that locker room and said, we're better than this, and we need to fix this, and we need to fix it now. And everybody stepped up to the plate and kind of did their part in making that more than just a mantra, but a reality. So I don't know if, yes, obviously post-trade, things about the team got better, but I really just think it was the honest conversations that were happening in that locker room and the honest conversations the players were having with themselves that ultimately turned this ship around. Because at the end of the day, a trade isn't going to just catastrophically change your team for the better if everything else is still broken in the locker room. I think it was just the perfect storm of, we need to fix this before it gets so bad that we can't. And now we're seeing that transition kind of happen,
Well, and I think the trade or getting Alyssa Smith was part of that moment.
There's always a spark in the circuit, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah. And with that came Jewel Lloyd being moved to the bench and being used in different ways. And I think when you make a huge trade like that was, right, everybody was talking about it when it dropped. Every single entity covered it, right? So you have done this big trade and you're moving into the season where you have to utilize that player because of this big trade that you have. And I think there was a moment in there too where they were like, yeah, it's just not working out the way that we thought it would. Mm-hmm. Yes, she's an amazing player. She's very talented. She will continue to have an impact in this league, but it didn't necessarily do what we thought it was going to do. And so with Alyssa Smith coming in, I think part of that whole movement and kind of that they did a vibe check of their own where it was like, we need to make a change in this, even if it was a huge trade and it kind of looks like it didn't pan out. We need to do it for the betterment of this team. And so all of these things that we're talking about definitely led into them being number 2 overall.
100%. And I think you can't talk about the Aces without talking about Jackie Young as well, because you have to remember that Jackie Young came up with Kelsey Plum and Asia Wilson. They were back to back to back #1 picks, right, for the Aces. And in some ways, Jackie was able to lean on Plum, in particular, not to mention Chelsea Gray, when you think about players that are playing more in the backcourt. And she just got a triple double the other day. I mean, she is crushing it when it comes to rebounds and being able to either end possessions for your opponent or get extra possessions for your team is huge in the WNBA and basketball overall. We could talk about teams who aren't doing that. I know I got two at the top of the list, but anyway, I think that also we're seeing and I think it's almost like a not talked about enough, but like an evolution of Jackie Young. And she is a dynamic player. And I think that we're also seeing her step up with her decision making and her leadership as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you talk about the team's ceiling, right, I think that it can go one or two ways. I think that sometimes in the postseason, and we've seen this before, teams can kind of revert back to old ways and bad habits. I think sometimes, the win streaks, it's no different than when a team's on a winning streak and then they lose, and then that starts a new trajectory of losing, and they got to bring themselves back to where they were when they were on the win streak, right? That's one possibility. The other possibility is that they really broke all the bad habits that they kind of developed before the All-Star break, and that's going to push them into the postseason and ultimately help them be more successful in the postseason. I think that the final games of the season will kind of really be the telltale sign of that. I think the team that you see show up in these last few games, in these last couple of weeks, is really going to kind of set the tone, I think, for what team we see in the postseason. Because as we know, this team knows how to win. They're champions. They've done it before. It's just a matter of, are they going to allow whatever black cloud was above them earlier in the season to kind of work its way back into its locker room and into their locker room and kind of affect the way that they're going to play in the postseason? Or are they completely stricken of that, and this is a brand new team, brand new mantra, brand new attitude? Only time will tell, and I really think you'll see that in these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and we also just need to give a little bit more credit where credit is due with Asia Wilson. She's definitely been carrying that team all season, but in this win streak, she's had obviously a lot of team support. The team has turned around. We talked about all of those, but she's been balling too. 26.8 points per game, 12.4 rebounds per game, 2 blocks on a 50.35% field goal percentage. Out of this world. Like, she is showing us exactly, who she is and what she's meant to this league and what she means to the Aces too. So, man, they're just locking in on all cylinders at the very right time, okay? Which we have also seen in the Aces in the past. So, not saying we were wrong before, but we were right in different ways. But definitely, congrats to the Aces for turning it around in the ways that they have, for sure.
And congrats to Naomi Osaka, because Monday, if you missed it, you missed a lot. It was Labor Day. We were chilling, but Naomi and Coco were going at it. It was a big matchup in the U.S. Open. Coco and Naomi were facing off at the tournament for the first time since the two played against each other in Gauff's U.S. Open debut at just 15 years old. Now, at the time, Osaka was the reigning U.S. Open champion and the #1 world player. This time around, Coco Gauff is a 2-time Grand Slam champion and a #3 player in the world. But Osaka beat Gauff in straight sets. She dropped just one set all tournament, and she did that to clinch her first Grand Slam since 2021. Now, this is really cool because I remember Coco winning hers at the U.S. Open and Naomi Osaka being in the stands just 2 months after giving birth. And we all know she's been very open about her mental health and just postpartum and getting back into the swing of things as not only an athlete, a mother or woman. And, obviously I don't have kids. Alicia, you don't. Erica, do you have any kids?
Oh, no.
Okay. So the three of us don't have any kids. So we can't really speak to, what that does to your mental and your body. And I know I have family members, obviously, who've had kids, and I have friends who've gone through pregnancy, and just speaking to them, it takes a toll, not only on you physically, but mentally. It's getting back into who you were as a person before your body went through this massive change. And then you kind of compile that with being a world-class athlete and having to perform on the biggest stages. I mean, we talked about this with Serena, and she was playing matches when she was pregnant with Olympia. So I think the cool thing, obviously, I love seeing Coco and Naomi go at it. I think for so many women, young girls of color, it means something extra special. I know we've had conversations about what it meant for us seeing Venus and Serena play tennis for as long as they did, and are continuing when you talk about Venus. But I think also for women who have had babies, it's just another reminder that, you can get back to who you were. And it's, having a kid and being a mom and being a working mom, and not saying the balance is easy. Clearly it's not, just from the outside looking in, but it's possible. And just take the time that you need to kind of return to yourself. And, when you do return to yourself, celebrate that and be happy, and don't think that you're going to come back as a lesser version of who you are. Naomi is moving on in the US Open, and she's a mom and she's doing it. And if you probably would have asked her this 2 years ago, she probably would not have believed that this was possible. So I just think it was really cool to see her. Not only, we love to see Black girl magic, but I think also just as a young mom, just finding her way back, which is very, very cool to see.
I absolutely love seeing this on every single level. She just had pure joy. If you watched the match, she was exuding joy. No matter what was going on in it, she was just having fun, and just really like in a joyful moment of, I am playing on this court that I love. I think she said it was her favorite court to play on, and I'm here and I'm doing it. I think regardless of her, like, I think her being a mom is important, and coming back from that is important. But one thing that I have always loved about her is her transparency. Mm-hmm. She has always been someone that if I am having a sad day, I am having a sad day, and I'm going to tell you. If I'm coming back from something, I'm going to tell you exactly how I'm feeling. And she's actually been under scrutiny at times. I can get the word right. She's been under scrutiny at times for having that much emotion. People have literally said that, like, she shows too much. But what I think is great is that she is showing it. And she always have, because athletes are people just like everybody else. And
in that vein, Alicia, before you finish, I want to read this quote that she kind of gave. It's a two-parter. This is regarding when she was in the stands watching Coco. She said, I was telling everyone, literally, I was in the stands 2 months after I gave birth to my daughter, watching Coco. I just really wanted an opportunity to come out here and play. This is my favorite court in the world, and it means so much to me to be back. And then she told People magazine last week that she actually thought that when she had a kid, she would retire. She said, I was one of those people that thought when I had a kid, I would stop playing tennis. While I was pregnant, I was kind of very inspired. I also wanted my daughter to be able to see me play tennis. It was such a big part of my life, and I feel like she doesn't know it, but she definitely inspired me to continue. So you talk about that transparency, and there it is.
Yeah. And she's always had it. She continues to have it. And like I said, athletes are people, and they have emotions just like everyone else. And it inspires me, like, as a former athlete and just as a person, for somebody to express how they feel at all times and just show that, like, yes, I am talented. I am killing it out here on this court, but I also am a human, and this is how I'm feeling. And so I love seeing her joy, but I also love seeing her express how she feels at all times. It's one of the things I've always admired in her.
And I think also a part of that joy is finding a return. I think that whether you are a parent or not, I think that as an athlete, as a human, there are times where life is going to humble you and you have things that
Point.
feel like they're insurmountable. And for Naomi Osaka to have that win, to get to a stage where if we look at her record, we know that she performs really well. Every time Osaka has made a quarterfinal round of a major, she's gone on to win it. And this is her first US Open quarterfinal in 5 years. So, how does that bode for what is perhaps, a second opportunity at a career, as y'all have already said, that she thought she wouldn't necessarily be able to come back to after having a child? And the joy, you hear a lot of parents. I cover ice hockey, as both of y'all know, and in ice hockey, for the men at least, they call it like this dad power. And there are these unofficial statistics of fathers, whether they're first time fathers or they have several children, they just have a surge of energy after coming back. Now, maybe that is just pure exhaustion. It is not easy to raise children, especially young children. But I think also it just speaks to when you have an opportunity to come back to something that you love, especially if it's been taken away from you for any number of reasons, there's often a fresh perspective. And I think for me, that's been great to experience her joy. Also, Naomi Osaka, one thing I love about her is that, she believes in lifting as she climbs. We've seen that throughout her career. We saw it again in this tournament, and always wanting to make sure that she respects and honors the people, especially other Black women who are competing with her. And then what are the little things everyone's carrying around, their little purses and things?
Oh,
Little
the
boo-boos.
Labubu's.
The little boo. Why she got blinged out Labubus? Like what?
I want to
Like,
know where these Labubus came from and how I can send them back to wherever they're from, because I'm tired.
Oh, come on. You don't like Billie Jean Bling? You don't like the Billie Jean
Bling has a US Open credential?
Nah,
Like,
I'm not
that's
with the
wild to me.
Labubus. I'm not with it.
She's like, y'all had me until you mentioned Labubus.
That's crazy. I'm not with the Labubus. I don't know how this happened. I don't know how to make it stop. It's insane. Like, I'm not here for it. Well, look, Naomi, she plays in the quarters tomorrow against Carolina Muhava. So we are going to be rooting for our girl to continue what she's been doing. And that is just dominating and crushing and just being an inspiration to so many for a multitude of different reasons. So we will definitely be talking about her on our live show on CBS Sports Network on Thursday.
Absolutely. And we've definitely been connecting with the US Open as it is continuing to go on. But right now we have something that we like to do every week that we need to talk about. And that is, it's time for Connecting Changes Everything, presented by AT&T. So last week, that was really dramatic, by the way. I feel like that was like extra or something like that. But last week, Ashley and I had the immense pleasure. It was just so amazing to do this interview on so many different levels with a WNBA legend. I mean, her list of accolades goes on and on, but we had the pleasure of interviewing Cynthia Cooper, and here is the interview for you. So check it out.
So much to dive into. But first and foremost, how are you doing? Welcome. Hi, all that.
I'm doing fantastic. Everything is going great. I'm still doing my training, and I actually trained this morning. So I love being in the gym and kind of passing the torch to the next generation. So that's always fun. But yeah, everything is good. I'm excited to talk with you guys and dive into what the W is doing right now, and how exciting their play is right now.
Well, listen, I didn't train. All I had was coffee this morning, so I need to catch up with you on every level. But you talked about the WNBA and the exciting time that is going on right now. Obviously, unprecedented viewership, attendance, all of those things. But what is your favorite part of what is happening in the W right now?
Well, two things. I love what A'ja Wilson is doing. I love A'ja Wilson, so I love what she's doing. I love the fact that, the Aces didn't start out the season on top and blowing everybody out. They actually, hit a couple stumbling blocks with a new roster, but they just stayed the course. And then the cream, they say the cream always rises to the top. I mean, Asia's plight, like her desire to be great is on display every single time she steps on the court. Not only is she getting better, but she's making her teammates better and stretching the court with her three-point shot and mid-range shot, and then getting to the rim and finishing tough shots. So I just love her journey to greatness. I love watching it and being a witness to it. I also love what Paige is doing. Paige Beckers is just amazing, right? So yes, she just broke my record by 1 point, but I love to see it because I love the energy and the excitement that's generated around not just women's basketball, but around her specifically and her team, the Dallas Wings. They're doing an amazing job there. And it's always nice to see the young talent come in and show out. Right from the beginning, you have the pressure to show what you can do on that next level, and then you make your adjustments, and then you do it. Right, you bring your A game every single night. So that's always great to see. I love to see the New York, the East Coast, West Coast, what the Sparks are doing, what the Liberty are doing. I just love to see the energy when you look at what Kelsey's doing out in Mitchell, out in with the Fever in Indiana, and she's about to break a scoring record there. So I'm loving watching the W and watching where they are right now. So I'm excited.
I want to go to Paige for a second because Alicia and I have this conversation a lot on the show. I think people sometimes just underestimate how difficult it is to go from the collegiate game to the draft to training camp to the preseason and then the regular season in such a short window. And we had this conversation about Caitlin Clark, and a lot of people were, questioning if she was going to be a professional, if she was going to make it in the pro because of how much she was kind of struggling her rookie season. And well, it's a huge adjustment period. What you're seeing from Paige, how impressed are you about how she's handled that adjustment period? And what do you think that her ability to handle it the way she's been doing it is going to mean for her career as a pro in this league?
Yeah, you can always tell who's going to make a great pro. It's by what they do off the court, what they do before they get to practice or to the training sessions. Mentally, how she prepares herself. She's never too high, never too low. She's right there, even keeled, and just focused. She's driven, she's focused, and I think she's going to have an amazing professional career because not only is it hard to make the transition from collegiate level to the pros, but it's also difficult to make that step into a new team that already has a leader, that already has things, that they've been playing for years together. And now all of a sudden you step in as a rookie. What is your identity going to be? What is your game going to look like? What do they need from you? What can you give them? All of those are questions. Should I go all out? Should I show everything I have in my bag? Or should I take a back seat and wait for my time because I'm a rookie? All of those questions go through your mind. And the fact that Paige was able to step into the WNBA and really showcase her talent at this level for the Dallas Wings, day in and day out, every single night she shows up. That's amazing. That shows what a professional she is and how great she can be.
I have to say that the first interview we did at the Women's Final Four is an honor, and so is this. I was the kid who looked up to you, watched your career the entire way, wore your shoes, loved the commercials, played the commercials over and over again. I don't know if those are some of my favorite all-time commercials, but and so to sit here with you, it really means a lot to me as a person. And I know that there are a lot of women out there, and men too, but a lot of people, I should say, that have looked up to you. And one of them is Esther Wallace. She's the owner of Players Society. You actually have a shirt on. Yes, rep that. I have that shirt as well. And I just wanted to play you a little bit of the interview that we had when we did her Connecting Changes Everything interview. So you can see, some of the amazing things she had to say about you.
Awesome.
Spirit of connecting with Cynthia Cooper, what is something that you would want to say to her or let know about you and how she's impacted your life, and how that connection specifically has impacted your life?
I mean, wow. So I'm always like, because I started playing so late, right? I started playing, after I would have had the opportunity to see some of these legends actually be on the court. So I've interacted with Cynthia post career, right? Of course, and just her energy, her storytelling. She tells a good story, right? And that's always a way to get me drawn in. And so just I would just want her to feel celebrated and seen. I think she definitely deserves that. I hope to be able to have a moment where I get to do that. But I think the best thing versus saying, I'm someone who obviously I speak through design and I'm very visual, but I would want her to feel celebrated and feel like we're all rooting for her still and excited about what she's contributed to the game.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Esther.
Yeah, she had so many amazing things to say about you, as she should. But, when you connect with people and inspire them, I was just wondering, is there like a weight on you when it comes to that? Or is that something that you feel is part of your, your path and your purpose? I think there could be a little bit of both, but how does it feel to be a person like she was talking about that has inspired so many people?
Well, it feels wonderful to hear that type of feedback. But for me, everything is genuine. Everything is genuine. I do believe it's my purpose. I do believe that when I met Esther, all I wanted to do was praise her. Like, girl, yes, like you're doing it. However you need me to support you, I want to do that, because isn't that what we really are here for? We're here to support that next generation. And sometimes it's in art. Sometimes it's in sports. Sometimes you just, you meet someone on the street or you meet them in the supermarket and you can say one sentence that makes their day. You can give them a hug, it makes their day. And so for me, my number one thing is support us. Support us women, support each other, support us athletes, support us African-American females that are trying to get it done. And I love support. I love supporting females to go to that next level and encouraging them and motivating them and really feeding their spirit that they can really achieve anything that they want to achieve. It wasn't always easy. And of course, when you're the first to do something, you're going to make mistakes. But when your heart is in the right place, that's really the foundation of everything. Your heart is in the right place. You make mistakes, you get your butt back up. You try to do it better the next time. You try to be better, a better person the next time. And so for me, all I want is to help and support and motivate women and people and my players that I coach to be great every day, not every so often. Strive for greatness when you wake up in the morning. And I believe that's what Esther does, right? I'm sure she had to go through different obstacles, and we all have our obstacles. I just believe you can overcome them. You can put problems in certain places where they're not affecting your outcome. You deal with them when you have to deal with them, but then after that, go soar, go fly, go be great. And I believe, and that's what I try to, that's the energy I try to give to people I meet.
Well, I'm about to go run through a brick wall right now because of what you just said. So I'll be right back. No, I'm just playing. But literally, the way you just inspired me, you've inspired so many people. And who would be the person for you, the person that has connected you to the inspiration that you have needed?
Well, I have so many throughout my career. I definitely want to give a shout out to my mom because she really taught me perseverance. That it's not going to always be easy, but if you persevere, you'll win at the end. You'll come out on top. Cheryl Miller. Cheryl Miller, like I said, she played out of Riverside. I played in the inner city at Locke High School, and I just believed I was the greatest. I was better than everyone. And when she came to USC, I remember that first practice, I looked up at her because she was on the rim. I was down there, she was on the rim. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, she's great. Coop, you got to get in the gym. Like, you got to get better. And she motivated me to be the best version of myself every day in practice. She was probably that first player that helped me understand the value and importance of practice. That you can't just cruise through a practice, but you use practice to get better. Because she came in and she gave 100% in every single practice. So she really taught me a lot, just watching her grow and watching her level of talent and skill and talent. So I would definitely say Cheryl Miller. I love, during my journey, I've always wanted to be great, but I was never able to see another person's journey to greatness, right? And how much they put into it and how they keep their circle tight. And that person is A'ja Wilson. Like, just to see how she's growing game after game, year after year, from her rookie season to now, to see where she is and where her game is and how it has matured and how she stayed even keeled, right? Win a gold medal, win two championships back to back. This is who I am. I am unapologetically A'ja Wilson. How about that? And she lets her game speak for her. So A'ja Wilson is another person that connects me to greatness, right? If there was another person, I want to give, in my spirit, I need to give a shout out to Angel Reese. Angel Reese is just a workaholic. She just gets down to business, right? A lot of stuff has been thrown her way. She keeps her circle tight and she stays focused on her game. She got help from Lisa Leslie. She'll get help from whoever she needs to in order to be a better player and a better person. I love what her mom is doing in her life and how they're so close. I love her, just her energy out there on the court and her competitive nature. Like, she reminds me of me when I was starting out, and I didn't care. Say what you want to say. I'm bringing my A game tonight, right? You're going to have to stop me from getting all these rebounds. Stop talking about how I get the rebounds. Stop me if you can. And I love that attitude of hers and how she's continuing to get better every single game.
Well, Esther connected us to you, and you have all of these game changers that have inspired you. Who should we connect with next?
I would connect with A'ja or Cheryl Miller.
Okay.
First one that came to my mind was A'ja, but I think Cheryl Miller is also a good one.
Well, listen, I'd love to interview both. So maybe we should just do both.
I wanted to tell Cynthia so bad that my dog's name is Cooper, but I didn't know how she would receive that. So I just kept that to myself. But ultimately, it was very, very cool getting to sit down with her. I loved hearing just the flowers that she was giving to so many of the young athletes that are in the league right now. Paige, I saw that she also gave flowers to Angel Reese, which we love. It was just really dope to be able to hear. No, Cooper's not named after Cynthia Cooper. I just thought it would be cute because his name's Cooper, her last name's Cooper, whatever. Anyway, Emma. I just wanted to be like, I have a dog.
It kind of sounded that way.
I know, maybe it did kind of sound like I named him after Cynthia Cooper. It kind of did sound that way. Anyway, back to the focal point here. It was just really great to be able to just hear her insights on all things WNBA, the progression, her journey, and again, just hear a legend in the game give flowers to so many of the young women who are trying to one day become legends in their own right. So I just thought that was very, very dope.
Yeah, for me, it was, I couldn't agree more on all of those levels, but also I think when we see the W right now and how far it has come and how amazing it is, right? And we know there's still work to do, but it has come a long way. We forget about the players that have paved the way to make it what it is today. And to hear more of her story, that I don't think enough people know about, right? But to hear more of her story and to hear what it was like when that league first started, how they had to scrape from literally not having any support at all to where it is now. That was what was inspiring for me. And I feel like we need to tell that story more after interviewing her.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm here for it. I love that y'all got to, interview Cynthia Cooper. You saw me over here raising the roof. I mean, if you know, you know. I still have my Comets, hat right here. I got the Sacramento one over here somewhere as well. But I mean, I listen. I always used to say I'm a New York Liberty fan growing up, but I was down with some Cheryl Swoops. That was my favorite player. And so growing up and being able to see those early finals in Madison Square Garden as a child and rooting for my team, but also getting to see my favorite athlete at that time compete was just wild. It tore my little heart apart at times, but I think that what they've done for the league, what they had to endure, and bringing this back to current. We just had Labor Day the other day, and we know that the WNBPA is doing a lot, trying to do a lot for current players, but something that if you talk to the WNBPA, also got them represented up here, they also are thinking about the players that have retired. Not only because eventually they will also be retired players, but the fact that they're not able to tap into resources officially as retired players is something that active players now are trying to work for. Again, not just for the players that are currently playing now who will eventually retire at some point in time, but also thinking about the Cynthia Cooper Dykes, the Cheryl Swoops, and on and on. And so I think that it's absolutely, Alicia, you talked about, we have to tell that history. That history is still something that the league is living. And so I just think that it's great when you can have these legends, these icons of the game who, they have their stories to tell and they own their stuff too, which I think is important. And I think that, it's awesome that y'all are able to tap in with that. And again, just bring it to current. So, y'all gotta call me next time you get a legend on here,
Hey girl, that's an Emma thing. Okay.
she said talk to Emma about that one.
You gotta talk to Emma about that, beloved. That ain't me. And we just showed up.
She threw you right under the bus, Emma. That's all good. I love it. It's a team here, but so I'm gonna take credit for that because Alicia gave us credit early on. So I'm like, yeah, I contributed in my way.
Listen, speaking of contributions, we all have to contribute to this next segment. It's one of our favorite segments. It's We Need to Talk About. And this is where we get whatever we need to get off our chest and we talk about it and we roll with it and we do basically whatever we want with it. So, Alicia, I'm going to kick things off with you because, girl, what do you need to talk about?
Listen, there's so many things. We could talk about Angel Reese dropping her signature shoe, which I'm about to cop right away, period. Because we do need to do that and support. We could talk about the US Open matches. We've been talking about a little bit about that, but I kind of want to take it's sports related, but I want to take it kind of off the court for a moment because as we know, I went to the US Open for the first time. It was fantastic. My eyes are open to tennis in ways that it never has been before. I'm actually
not Erica grabbing her drink because she Aggie.
Listen,
like whatever, girl.
I'm actually wearing, this Althea Gibson shirt right here from round 21. They did a collab for the US Open that I absolutely love. However, one thing that I was noticing while I was there was these drinks that everyone was drinking. And I know that a lot of people know, not that drink, Erica, it's a little different drink, but we see you. So I know a lot of people know about this. I don't drink personally, but I had to get to the bottom of what this was.
Not you want some investigative journalism about
No, I was drinks. Because everyone was holding them, taking
the
pictures.
Honey Deuce?
Yeah, the honey, yes. The honey deuces, okay? So everyone had these in their hand. And you know, they have these little, like this might go viral for the wrong reasons, because whenever you say this word, people can misconstrue it. But let's talk about the melon balls specifically, okay?
Mhm.
So they are on every drink, and I'm sitting
Mhm.
here like, okay, that's very interesting. But then I saw something today that every single melon ball is scooped by hand, y'all.
Mhm.
This is 2.3 million melon balls. That is wild to me that
Wild.
somebody is in
Hold
the
on,
back.
cantaloupe. Melon. Sorry.
Listen, with melon scoopers, that they also sharpen every day because they want to make sure they get these right. I mean, they're selling 556,000 of these drinks. I know they're the iconic US Open drink, but what I need to know is, are these people who are in the back scooping these melon balls by hand getting a percentage of these drinks? Because that's a lot of bread.
So they're not actually, so it's actually done like an off-site area. So they have a kitchen like elsewhere that basically scoops them each day and they're delivered fresh. So it's not like they're in the back at Arthur Ashe and they're like scooping it. They come pre-scooped, but it's like the day before they're like scooped. So they have a whole staff in an off-site kitchen. I think it's in, don't quote me, I want to say it's in Midtown somewhere that they do it, but I could be wrong. And basically they have the scoopers and there's when these little ice cream scooper looking things that are about this big,
Like mini ice cream
scooping them
scooper.
out, putting them in these tins, saran wrapping them and delivering them to Arthur Ashe for the honeydews morning of. And it's just a constant thing for the 2.5-ish weeks of the US Open. It's a full-blown procedure. Like,
Yes. I mean, they might not be at Arthur Ashe, but they in the back somewhere.
oh
doing
no,
that.
they working. It's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory back there. They in there.
Listen, and you know how expensive drinks are. I'm like, I hope they
Yeah,
get
the honeydews is a little overpriced. I'm not gonna hold you. I know
Well,
that's
I mean, when you
that's
got
taboo
them,
to say, but like it's not enough alcohol to be charging like that. Okay.
Oop, she said, "I need the heavy-handed
I'm
bartender."
just saying, you gonna charge it like that? I need a double at least. Like,
Listen, as a former bartender, I will tell you, like,
me
when
too,
you have
girl.
yeah, come on now. When you have specialty, I'll make you a honey deuces. I got you. You know, my little version, the dupe. All right, I got you. But don't come for me. I don't know if you know, trademark. Don't come for me. But but
the funds for that.
listen, you know, with the mixologists of the bartenders, there's a name, they call them that for a reason, because mixing drink is like, that's some serious business right there. And the garnish, like getting that garnish right.
And they do not like, as somebody who also was a bartender, they don't like when you call them bartenders. They are mixologists. It is not the same
Especially
thing.
like,
I was a bartender. I was making cranberry and vodka. And
that's what I'm saying. I was a bartender. Like,
yeah,
there's
with
a
little bit of
difference.
salsa water.
There's a differentiation.
Soda, a little bit of
I was a
lime,
straight up bartender. Okay,
so they making like dragon fruit margarita pina
that's what
colada
I'm
drinks.
telling
It's
you.
not the same thing.
That's
Like,
it's not the same.
No.
That thing hits a little different. And so, like, I can only imagine, like, the kitchen is probably some, like, you know, high level, highfalutin, you know, exclusive kind of restaurant. You talking about sharpening them things? When you said that, I
no,
was like,
it's
oh,
literally,
yeah.
it's literally like
it's no
it's
joke.
like an industrial kitchen that's rented just for this. Like,
That's,
it's literally
I believe it.
Just to scoop
I
them
believe
all.
it. That's fancy. Yeah. See, and now
That's
y'all
a
know
lot.
why I've never been to the US Open. I don't know. I'm an everyday girl. You know, I'm from around the way.
That when I was a kid. Shoot.
But listen, something I want to talk about is, listen, I got to talk about KK Ream. Now, she becomes the youngest goal scorer in NWSL history in the regular season, 16 and 52 days old, or young for real. But I think not only is this making history, you know, a striker with the Utah Royals, or a player with the Utah Royals made the team out of training camp. But I really want to lean into the fact that the NWSL, but more specifically, women in soccer have made a point to say, listen, we're not here for you know, these, I would say, arbitrary roles and rules, that we have for especially US born players, because we've seen it in the WNBA, we've seen it in other professional leagues, that especially on the women's side, international players can come and play professionally at younger ages, but the WNBA has regulations, and until a few years ago with Olivia Moultrie, so did the NWSL. So I love that this history is even able to be made because young athletes are like, I'm trying to get a buck now. And, there's controversy. For so long, we were told, oh, well, if women go pro out of high school, then, what about college? Well, what about college? You could go to college at any age. Okay. You could go to college at any age, but securing that money, especially if you know that you have the talent to be a professional athlete, you want to maximize, your prime years as an athlete. Athletes retire at 30. I'm going to come back to hockey for a minute. In hockey, 30 is the break off. If you're on the wrong side of 30, you're looking at the end of your career. In the WNBA, really, it's 2 to 5 years is the average. The average when it comes to, thinking about what the longevity is of a professional career. So I needed to talk about that. So congrats to KK, and congrats to all of the young stars that are really pushing us to think differently about how women enter the workforce when it comes to pro sports.
Love it. Love it. I got nothing, so y'all go ahead. I used all my good takes for the honeydew segment.
Yeah. I'm glad you had those facts though, because I needed
invested in that segment. And then Erica started talking about her bartender days. It just brought me back to college. We could have a whole segment about that, bartending horror stories.
Yeah.
I used to make crazy good tips at Blue Martini. Rest in peace. It's gone now, but like Coyote Ugly in that thing.
Maybe we should schedule a pod just for that, for the bartender pod.
I really thought that it was gonna be like Coyote Ugly. It was kind of lit though.
And we got you on the mocktails too.
Yeah, right.
No problem.
Thank you. I definitely need you. I will. Okay, since we're on this, mocktails are so expensive, and there's no alcohol in them. What is that?
Talk about the price of mocktails, because
the economy.
All-Star Weekend was not drinking. Not because I don't drink. I do drink. I just didn't want to. And I'm like, this mocktail is the price of an actual drink,
price.
Roughly, maybe a couple of dollars less. I'm like, there's nothing in here, but it's a mojito with no rum. Like, what are you charging me for? The seltzer water? Like
the mint. Come on, mint prices is going up.
Egregious. They should be ashamed of themselves, bro. There's no way that a mojito with no alcohol should cost $3 less.
Mints and limes, baby.
Alcohol.
No, I have always when I go out, I want to have a mocktail, and then I look at the price, and I'm like, on GP, I can't do this. Give me some ice water.
It's crazy. It's egregious. I'm not even gonna hold you. It is insane.
Egregious.
Yeah, they should be ashamed of themselves. Real talk. Honestly. Look, while we dissect the price of these mocktails, we have to remind everybody to follow us on social, subscribe to our YouTube channel, put those notifications up, because as I mentioned, that is where you will get notified when we do special shows like our 100,000 subscribers thank you show, where we answer fan questions. Also, don't forget, we are going live Thursday on CBS Sports Network. Emma's going to remind me of the time in any minute now. 12 p.m. Eastern. There we go. So make sure you are setting your reminders for that. And as always, at the end of the show, there will be a QR code that you can scan. So if you're somebody who likes to listen to your pods, you can do that, and you'll find us on Spotify, and you'll find us also on Apple Podcasts. Until next time, which is literally Thursday, we'll see you then. Bye.
See you next time.